All right, we're gonna start this YouTube video with the classic YouTube introduction. What's up, guys? What's up, YouTube? And for the sake of this video, what's up, class? I take classes at SDI, Sonoran Desert Institute. I highly recommend checking them out. I'll put a link in the description down below for you guys. I highly recommend their classes. To start out, we're gonna go into my workstation. If you're OCD like me, it has to be really clean. That prevents lost parts, lost tools. And when you lose parts, you lose tools. It's not fun. And a lot of the parts you work with as a gunsmith or even reloading with that kind of stuff, there are a lot of small parts and you don't want to lose that kind of stuff. Let's dive into that workspace. So over here, I keep all my gunsmithing stuff. This guy's usually closed over here. This is a really, really good kit. I recommend. I'll probably make another video in the future. Tactical Toolbox, another YouTuber. He actually has a video strictly for this set. This is an old toolbox. This was actually my first organized gunsmithing / gun cleaning set that I ever created myself. It's just made of materials that I've picked up over the years. Some parts there, more cleaning stuff there, microfiber cloths, and cleaning solutions, whatnot. I actually got these from SDI. Another cool thing about SDI, you get a lot of cool stuff. I don't keep consumables in my shop, so I don't actually have whey protein here. It's just a trash can. Moving on to this side, I would say about from here on is reloading equipment. However, my gunsmithing space kind of spills over here because sometimes you just need the extra bench space. I have a rifle sitting here. It's due for a grip swap. I want to get to that hopefully after this video if it's not too late. It's about 3 in the morning here in Avid, Texas. Also like 40 degrees in here. I got all my brass here. This is just once fired brass that I've picked up at the range over the past few months. Right now I primarily reload 9mm, so I keep all my 9mm stuff separate. That's just once fired dirty brass picked up off the range, still has old primers in it. After that, send them through here, take all the primers out, because I deep prime them before I wash them. And then they go in there. And then from there, they get dumped into this guy, tumbled, cleaned. They get tumbled with all this stuff right here. And then after that, they come out and they dry there. After that, they get thrown into these guys. Remember how I said I like organized? This is actually very messy for me. I need to get in here and clean this up. It might look clean, but to me, it's kind of driving me nuts. Back to the subject of the video. So today, we're gonna be getting into clearing a firearm, functions checking a firearm, and pretty much getting it ready for the test fire, which clearly you can't do here. I just gotta throw this in there. I actually went to Comfort, Texas. Apache Rifle Works did a gun blowout and they had some famous YouTubers there. Grand Thumb was there, he's one of my favorites. It was really busy in there, but he was the only one I was able to get to sign this flag. But it's a demolition range flag, so if you're a fan, cool stuff. Now it's time to not play with guns, but work with guns. Now setting up to work on guns, cleaning a gun, changing it apart, function checking it, even if you're gonna make out the gun, doesn't matter. Try to think of all the tools that you might need for whatever task you're doing and have them out readily available. It just makes life a whole lot easier. So the way I have this set up, I keep snap caps in here. This is totally disorganized. I need to go through here and do this. All right. Snap caps. Those are gonna be 9mm ones right there. Those are the ones we're gonna be using because we're working on this guy. You gonna focus? There we go. All right, now working with guns, safety comes first, right? Now, I watched a gun safety tutorial of this guy. He was like, he had a bunch of kids in front of him. He had several guns on a table that were clearly unloaded. They were like this, right? They look like that. Nothing in them, no magazine. He asked one of the kids to come up and he was like, is this gun loaded? The kid was like, no, it's not, because obviously it doesn't look like it is. So he's like, wrong. It is loaded, because you treat all guns if they're loaded. You know they're not loaded, they're still loaded. This gun right here doesn't have anything in chamber, but hey, in theory it's loaded, all right? This is actually my home defense gun. I keep this on my bedside, nightstand gun, whatever you want to call it. And if you notice, boom, there's live rounds in there. We're gonna get rid of this. I'm just gonna go inside, put this inside the house, because I don't allow live ammunition in my workspace if I'm using my workspace. After you've removed live ammunition from the workspace, we're gonna clear the gun. Talking about clearing a firearm, I teach everybody, anytime anybody hands you a firearm, doesn't matter if you watch them unload it or not, doesn't matter what they did before they gave it to you, you always drop the magazine, rack the slide every time. Even if they hand you the gun like this, right? Or if they hand you the gun like this, drop the magazine, rack the slide every time, it doesn't matter. That's how you clear a gun. That's what I do with every gun, no matter how well I know the gun, no matter what condition I know it's in, I always do that. It's a good force of habit. I like to leave my slides locked or my bullets locked back, depending on the gun you use. And then that's when I usually get my tools out and get situated and whatnot. So what's actually cool about this block, it comes with this AR-15 build kit, tool kit that I have. This whole block is actually magnetic. And you use this part to put different parts in. You can put the bolt here and work with it. It's got a hole cut out for the lower receiver if you're punching pins out, trying to swap out a trigger or whatnot. But if you flip it on the other side, the parts bin. This whole thing is also magnetic. It's pretty sick. All right, so we have the gun clear, right? Empty magazine, the only magazine that should be in here. If you have any more magazines, they better look like this. Now, it's time to function check this firearm, right? It's a Glock 19X, something very basic. I wanted to choose something that most people are familiar with. A lot of people are like, they buy their first gun and they're looking at a video on how to do what I'm showing you today, which they probably won't come across my video because I have like 2 followers. I'm like an undeveloped cryptocurrency coin. Gun's clear. First thing we're gonna do, say this gun came into our shop and the customer was like, hey, there's something wrong with the gun. I can't think of something off the top of my head, but essentially what we're gonna do before we test fire the gun or figure out what part is malfunctioning, we need to figure out what part of the cycle of operations is the malfunctioning happening in. Hopefully I worded that right. All right, so we're good to go, right? We need to find out what's wrong with this firearm. First thing we're gonna do is we're gonna function check it, make sure it goes through all the cycles fine, but without a magazine and no snap caps, right? We're gonna go slow and we're gonna feel. This is all about feel at this stage. So if you're smart, you would do your research, look at the owner's manual, find out how the firearm you're working on works. In this case, we're gonna do research on a Glock 19, right? And we're gonna find out all the mechanics inside, find what happens when you pull the slide back, when the cocking happens. Does it cock when it goes back or does it cock when it goes forward, right? That's all the things we need to know because we need to know what to feel for. What we're gonna feel for here, first thing that's gonna happen is the chamber's gonna unlock from the slide, right? Boom, unlocked. Now we're gonna get resistance from the recoil spring, and then you feel some resistance there from the fire control group. And as you come forward, boom, right there, I just felt the sear engage with the firing pin. Chamber locks back in place. Good to go. Do a little trigger test. Cool, it clicked. Good to go. We're gonna do the same exact thing. Second stage. We're gonna do the same exact process with an empty magazine. Now what we're looking for here, this follower needs to successfully press upwards on this slide catch. Because if you push it up there, rack the slide back, it's gonna catch the slide. Now, instead of our thumb doing it, we want this guy to do it. Slap that bad boy in there and do the same process again, slowly. Chamber unlocks, resistance from the fire control group, and I just felt the follower push up on that slide catch and it engaged right there, see it? This next step is all about vision. You still kind of want to like feel for things because things could change, but it's mostly vision. Now we're going to be looking out for these guys. These snap caps, right? They mimic a 9mm round. Now I like to take snap caps and I throw them in a case check. This is kind of an expensive one. You can buy singles, they're a lot cheaper. First thing I check for is this sound. Next thing is you're also gonna look, make sure it moves freely. Also that it's flush. Now this snap cap is good to test. You don't want any damaged snap caps because, I mean, if there's something wrong with the snap cap, essentially it's not gonna do all those things we just checked. Now let's load these snap caps into this magazine. I got 2 of them here. First one, we're gonna go really slow. We're gonna make sure it goes into the chamber just fine and the chamber locks with it, no problem. Now guns like to be manhandled, keep that in mind. It helps mitigate a lot of malfunctions. I see a lot of people in the range, they'll load a magazine in, ready to shoot, and they'll go like this, and they'll guide the slide forward and then jams up. They're like, oh, why did it jam? Well, you gotta let that thing fly. In this case, we're gonna go slow because we wanna watch what's going on. So we got firearm, magazine, snap cap. With the snap cap, we can actually test all steps of the cycle of operations. Slam that guy in there because guns work better when they're manhandled, right? First thing we're gonna do is we're gonna check for feeding because there's nothing in the chamber. Slide's locked back, and we're gonna make sure this guy feeds right. All right, good feed, good chamber, good locking. Yeah, that definitely locked because we're flush. There's no gaps here, no gaps here. Looks like the extractor engaged with the lip of the case. It's actually in there. It's not bulging out like it's stuck or anything. We're gonna fire that snap cap. Firing pin definitely hit the snap cap that time. All right, now we're gonna pull this slide back, make sure it's extracting that round. Sick. Now let's check for ejection. Cool. Now, it only went back in because I pulled it so slow. If you do it fast, it'll actually fling out, which we'll do next. But before we do that, we're gonna test the reset of the trigger, make sure the trigger resets. All right, so testing for a reset, right? I'm gonna hold the trigger down and rack the slide and make sure it clicks. Boom, make sure it fires again. Boom, good to go. Now we're gonna do the same thing, but up to speed. No round in the chamber. All right, so now we're gonna do the same process again, but up to speed with the snap cap. What we're checking for, since there's no round in the chamber, is we're gonna do feeding first, make sure the round feeds in the chamber. It's gonna chamber it, make sure the chamber locks. We're gonna do the fire, and then we're gonna do extraction, make sure the extractor works. We're gonna make sure the ejector works. And after that, we'll do another test fire, make sure the trigger resets all good to go, good and dandy, all right? Snap cap in the magazine, no snap cap in the chamber, right? Rack it. And yep, it fed that round pretty good. Now we're gonna fire it. Good fire, and rack that guy fast. Cool, that round went flying, we're good to go. And the slide locked back with an empty magazine. Now, is this guy ready for a test fire? For me, I would say no, not yet, because I'm OCD and I'm a safety freak. I'm gonna take this guy apart, and I'm also gonna do some research on the SAMI specs for the chamber. I have tools I like to use, like micrometers and whatnot, make sure that the chamber is down to specs, because headspace can also be an issue of a lot of things. All right, so we got our extractor here. We're gonna press that guy in, make sure it's moving. Yeah, there you go. We're also gonna check this guy right here. That is your ejector. That's gonna hit the case. Make sure that thing's not cracked, not bent. It should be looking pretty pristine. Anytime I'm troubleshooting another firearm, I'm always gonna do like a deep clean on it. Make sure it's really, really safe, good to go. Now, I'm no expert on making videos, right? I'm a very beginner. This is probably like my third video. I'd say more like my second video. My first video was me putting these grips on this gun. That video is pretty cringy, but I left it up anyways because people like it. So hopefully I get more opportunities to make more videos for this class for you guys and probably keep them up. You never know who's gonna be looking for tutorials on how to do certain things that we learn how to do in this class or with this degree program. You never know who's gonna be needing to see tutorials of how to do things that we learn. Key things that you wanna take away from this and any other gun-related video that I may put out in the future is safety, right? Safety, safety, safety. A big thing for me about safety is organization. This is what my workbench looks like after I've worked on a firearm. It doesn't look crazy. It doesn't look like a tornado came through here. I stay very organized. I put tools back when I'm done with it. Good rule of thumb. Also, treat every firearm as it's loaded. If somebody hands you a firearm with a slide lock back and there's nothing in the chamber, and you can see that there's nothing in the chamber, that firearm is still loaded in your mind. With that being said, take everything I did with a grain of salt. I kind of zoomed through it, and until next time, peace.